which is in architecture, so can you come up here, please? And then a question for you is, what is your most favorite building in the world?
Well, I answered this earlier as well, and I did take the sentimental approach. After a hard day's at work, the best home is home, so I can see my son and my wife. Hey, I was there, by the way, when I saw that C-17, so very impressive. I didn't tell you that last time. My name is Jeff Johnson. I know you heard that before. Jeff Johnson Architectural PC. I have an office in Rifle, Colorado. I think I hung my shingle sometime around 2001 as an architecture firm. Back when I was your age, I didn't really have a real game plan. I was very independent. I pretty much knew everything, and I had a couple options. I was skating through my senior year. And when it came, all of a sudden, 3 or 4 months, I got to know what I'm going to do. So I did apply to a couple colleges. I got accepted at Embry-Riddle and Prescott as a flight engineer. Showed it to my parents, and they said, "You can't afford that." So I went with Plan B. I got a scholarship at an art school, Colorado Institute of Art. And I said earlier, that's how you get a Minnesota boy out to Colorado. So I went there for a good year. I knew the dean, and I would talk a lot with the dean. And I was very arrogant, and I had finished my first year, and I went in and I asked her, I said, "Well, what can you do for me in the next year that I can't just go out on my own?" So she said, "Fine, go out on your own." And I did. And one of the best influences in my life was when I opened my own business, and I was trying to be a designer, and the world kind of clamped down on me, shook me a little bit, and then spit me out, okay? So it was an abject failure, okay? And I was forced to, call my dad and say, "Hey, Dad, I need some airfare to come home. Oh, by the way, I'm going to stay home. Oh, also, by the way, I did drop out of college because I didn't tell him that." So when I got back, what I learned from that experience was, Jeff, it's time to get a plan, okay? It's time to get a plan. What are you going to do? So I was at U of M, and I decided to apply for civil engineering, and I was in there, but I happened to meet my future wife at U of M, and we happened to have a child on the way, and that happened to mean that I needed to stop because Kari was closer to finishing her school than I was. So for 3 years I worked a night shift testing circuit boards and working hard. But again, I was very restless and I wanted to do something different. So as soon as she finished, we looked for married student housing, and I found a place that had architecture up in Fargo, North Dakota, believe it or not. Watch the show, you betcha, it's all true. That was a pragmatic school, and what I mean by that is budget was always considered when we did design, and I think that's important because that's what it's like in the real world, even if you're doing an Aspen house. So 5 years I went through that experience. Typically about 5 years is what you can expect. At the end of those 5 years, I got a Bachelor of Architecture. It's actually a Bachelor of Science in Architecture. And then because it's a profession, you have to go through an internship, and it takes about 3 years to finish your internship under the tutelage of another architect. So that architect kind of directs you, teaches you the ropes, doesn't pay you much, but they work you really hard, and you learn real-world architecture. Once you get all of your hours signed off on, then you're eligible to take your tests. So there's 9 tests, about a 90% failure rate, so consider yourself having to take a few of those tests more than once, okay? Once you pass all the tests, you get your stamp wherever you want to practice architecture. And it is practicing, by the way. We'll never master it. So, in my world, I work, it's just me. At one point I had a partner, but I like a smaller firm. And I do residential, and I was very successful up until about 2007, and the economy in this area kind of crashed. Well, it did everywhere. I was really successful in doing high-end residential housing, and that market kind of died. So I was forced to kind of adapt, and I learned the ropes of commercial architecture and industrial architecture, and I was able to survive. But the first few years after that recession, I was making about 30% of what I was used to. So it was hard, but I'm made out to be an architect. I love my job. My job is different every day. I know some of you guys talk to me, so I've already heard this, but in any given day, I can either be behind the computer doing drafting and design. I can be out on a job site watching my buildings go up and doing field observations. Or I can be chasing the work, because the other thing that I am is an independent business owner, and that is a whole other thing. But in terms of you guys, I was telling the other folks that I'm really envious of you, because when I was first wanting to be a visual communications director or do commercial design, it was art and I really liked it, but there was no real technology involved. Well, technology is really involved in every profession now. And back then, I looked at doing design, but also bringing technology into it, and that was that's architect. The tech from architect is basically technology. So you guys, in talking with some of you, you've already started working on some of the software that I do as a profession, and you already have that as a skill set. And in terms of skill sets, any of you, I mean, you have to have a skill, okay? But any one of your skills, I can find a place for you in the architectural world. Okay? Thanks.